30th of June. It's within their right, so there's nothing really to panic. And that's what I said to them, to say, we're not panicking, it's within your right. It's contained in the Constitution, you have the right to strike. And also reminded them also to say that right also goes with certain responsibilities. Because what we've also seen in these marches also cannot necessarily be overlooked. As much as South Africans have the right to strike, and their anger and their frustration is highly understood, and we explain to them also the fact that even as government ourselves are hard at work. So it's not that we ask, I think Zunza will explain that we have inspectors going to the committees, and it's something that we are seized with on an ongoing basis. So it's not like because there's a threat of the 30th that there's really a crisis or there's something. And I did say to them, and I think with tongue-in-cheek, I used my age to set my age. I'm free to say anything anyhow. To say on the 1st of July, the sun will rise from the east, will go down on the west. So between us and them, this is our country. We all have a joint responsibility to build it. So whatever happens in between, it shouldn't be anything that really takes away our responsibilities as South Africans to say this is our country, with them, to build it. And that's the spirit we even explained to them, to say the 30th, yes, we note respectfully, we support them, actually, to have a free and safe march, so they shouldn't panic that anything is going to go wrong. All we are asking them is to do within the framework of the law. We've had incidents with South Africans themselves. I mean, I told them I was terrified when I saw a South African paint spraying a foreign immigrant. I said at the end of the day, they're human beings. They have the right, they have a dignity. You have to protect everybody's dignity. Whilst we have all the frustrations, we have a responsibility to treat people with respect despite our anger. So I said, let's do whatever you do. We are protected by law, 30th, or even 15th, or any other day. You want to go in a strike, we are protected. The law allows, so there's no crisis there. What we should do is to make sure that we do it within the law, out of following our ethos as South Africa, of respecting other people, despite how angry we feel, but we have a responsibility to respect them and treat them and not throw our problems to them. We also, I think, discussed with them that migration is an international phenomenon, and the South Africans have to agree as to how we handle it, because it's not anything that has befallen. It has created a crisis for us, a big one, and we could cite lots of examples about how it's really created problems, even for the state. But it is an international trend that we should be able to manage also as a continent, but also as a country. So for me, this meeting was to really emphasize the responsibility and said to them, in Zimbabwe, they say so that the country belongs to its people, so they're country people. So they can't just, all of us, have those who say government. It's all of us that were involved in this thing, and that's for us the spirit. Having been a politician, I'm used to people rising and saying that tick boxes, and I didn't even say, and I said I didn't come with a box here. We came here with the spirit of saying, this is our country, let's work on it together, let's respect the laws of this country, let's respect even the people, though you may hate them as much as we can, let's respect them, but let's also respect the culture and the value of this, the values of this country. Yes, there are concerns about our standing, our difficulties, but the issue that we're raising here to say we have to work together to deal with the problems that we're all confronted with. And we gave them examples about how, as different departments have been, not only now, have been dealing with the issues. And perhaps it's time that we talk to them and explain to them what has been happening. We may not have communicated some of the activities, what the thoughts are, what the plans are. This is an opportunity which is brought by an advantage of a crisis. A crisis also helps to say, with all the marches, it's really helping us to say, maybe it's time to really find each other, talk to each other and explain, but not because there's panic. crisis. It's because the opportunity presented itself to be able to talk. Yeah, so I thought I should raise that to say, yeah, sure.
Okay, I think Minister Motshekga has answered the issue at deadline 30. Is it a coincidence of the Africa Day? Actually, I realized when I arrived in the meeting, because I'm the convener of the meeting. I just arrived in the country on Sunday and convened this meeting. So I didn't even look at the date because I was in BRICS. But what would have triggered us calling this meeting is that when these marches started, they were localized. So from a national JCPS, we don't react to marches that are localized or within a province. So when it's a municipality, we leave it to that province, the local district to deal with it. When it's a province, it's the provincial JOC that deals with it together with the teams. But what brought us one was that the marches were now starting to be national. So that's how we draw our attention. It drew our attention because they are now on almost all the provinces that there are marches. But again, as Minister Motshekga, they are starting to be violent. So when there are peaceful marches across, we would not draw our attention. We'll monitor, we'll follow, but once they become violent, then they draw our attention as well. So that's the issue. But in the meeting, I must highlight that another organization, I'm not going to say which one, actually flagged that their logos are being used wrongly. So they were urging us to pay attention because they do think that there are people with ulterior motives utilizing their logos wrongfully. That worries us, meaning that within their organization, and this is what we were raising with them, that you do not have the capacity that the state has to be able to analyze, to be able to detect, even where you are infiltrated by anyone. Doesn't have to be sophisticated foreign intelligence or anything, but somebody who can want to tarnish their image, to tarnish themselves, can enter into that so that the organizers themselves lose face. So they did acknowledge, one organization acknowledged that their logo has been used wrongly. They are appealing for us to work with them, to help them, so that wrong things don't happen in their name when they did not organize those marches. So I thought I should be able to reflect that. The issue of balancing act, yes, is important. And that's why we talk, and we said to them, we live in these communities. We are ourselves affected, and perhaps even the society is affected by everything. But there is a responsibility that we have as a country to ensure that things, even where there's outcry of something, those are done within the law. So there is a balancing act in terms of ensuring that voices that are rising against or raising concerns about their socio-economic issues. We even made sure, we said, when you look at the challenges that we have, for example, there's unemployment, there's issues of needs that people are looking for. If we are a family and I have a pain, when I have a pain, I'm likely not to point within my family. I'm going to point at my neighbor to be the cause of my pain. And sometimes that's what happens. So we do have the socio-economic challenges that we have as a country that we must address on our own. The economy is not growing. We are not able to create the jobs that we are supposed to. So they lead to unhappiness by our society. And that's why working together, we have a job to do as JCPS to protect the economy so that those who are investing can grow the economy and jobs can be there. So that's part of our responsibility.
The resolve to much. All one wanted to emphasize that within their right is contained in the Constitution, so they don't need to panic. It's there. So they're not wanting to do something which is not allowed. They want to march on the 30th. It's fine, because it's within their rights to do so. But within those rights is to also remind each other to say it's a constitutional right to do it within the frameworks of the law. Only police can ask for identity from people, not any other citizen that goes about and say pass and not pass. So to really confirm that they have the right to. So when they say watch the space, I'm saying if the whole country can come out, it's allowed. There are steps that have to be followed. You have to notify the police, they have to plan with you, you must have marshals. So it's not as if really you have to watch the space because it's legal. So there's nothing to watch for. It's legal. It just has to be done properly. So there's no need to hype and to panic and say, watch the space. It's there, it's legal. So there's nothing I'm saying it should really cause lots of anxiety, but let's just do it properly. So that, as the minister is saying, we can protect the marchers, we can plan properly, we can ensure that we protect property, but also not take law unto ourselves, because it's only law enforcement officers who have the right and responsibility to be asking for identities of people. So people should not work outside the law, and that's what I was saying. And I was saying to them, there's nothing which makes us fight even the South Africans over it. There'll be a march on the 30th, there'll be the 1st of July, which would still force us together as South Africans to pick up the pieces and work together to build our country. And that's what I was saying, not that I was underestimating or undermining the fact that there's the 30th. I was saying it's fine, it's within the law. Let's do it properly. So I thought I should just raise it. Minister will speak about Action SA, and I really don't want to get into a space where I could say, even the undertones of the people, you could see that this one comes from this inclination. Even the question can see, I mean, we work with these people, we speak and say, hey, ubambe line. So, but they were invited, and I can assure you they were represented in different ways. They may not have come as leaders, but they were represented. But I think it's something else. Yeah, I think I really don't want to raise other things. You see, the advantage with the crisis, it gives you an opportunity to do things that you would not do as usual. That you find yourself having to communicate things that you are doing. The questions about borders, I can give a whole report about even more information that sometimes even surprises my colleagues to say, this is what I found in the border about porous borders. This is what we're doing. In September, we're going to give a comprehensive plan. But for instance, from where we stand, with a budget which doesn't allow us to do much, I can only come out with a plan. It's only now that I think with government reprioritization, that we have hopes that we'll be able to do other things. But we can, and that's what we said to members, that sometimes some of the things we've not done, it's not that we are not aware that we're supposed to do, we have not been able to do them. We have a long border which has its own historical dynamics, where in the past the farms used to be used as a buffer which assisted the previous government. But if now suddenly the people that are supposed to be the buffers are no longer part of your border authority. So there are lots of things that we're dealing with, which we said to them, and I agree with you that we said to them, because there's lots of work that is happening that affects our well-being as South Africans, there is a need to have these periodic engagements. And that's why we deliberately didn't have an agenda, because we wanted to be an open meeting, to say we'll present to you what are the things that we're doing and get you to feedback on what your concerns. So it was deliberately an open meeting to just open up the discussions and share information that we have. So it was not by accident or accident that we didn't have a meeting. On SADC, you're also right. The advantage again that we have with us chairing SADC is to convince SADC ministers, because we also don't want to be forward to South Africa, call people and do other things. I can tell colleagues, members of the media, when I visit borders, I sit in Popo, we're using AUVs. I can see police in Zimbabwe watching their people crossing our borders illegally without them stopping them. So it's for us to go to them to say, it can't be our responsibility alone. Let's work with you as neighbors to protect our borders, both sides. So we, at the last meeting, I even asked, because I couldn't go because I had a budget speech, I asked Minister Holomisa to say, now that we are chairing SADC, it's not like ourselves as South Africa calling ministers of SADC to say, let's work together on the border. So we have an advantage now that we're chairing. So that as part of our chairing is to engage our neighbors to say, it can't be a responsibility alone. And I'll show them pictures of their police watching. There are people crossing our borders. We have to stop them. On the other hand, they don't take responsibility. So I agree with you that we have to engage with them. I'm told in the past they used to engage with them, it had worked. But now it had stopped a little. So I think you're quite right, you have to reactivate, because it can't be our duties alone to really stop borders. But we can also reveal that we have an elaborate plan around how we protect our border, but it will only materialize when we have the necessary resources to do a human defense essay to do obstacles so that people don't come, so that you don't build a Trump wall, but you create obstacles which will make sure that people don't take South African people's cars outside the border. And the plan is there, but as I say, it's awaiting resources. Chair, the last one that I really I wanted to talk about lawlessness. If you recall, I was not even the defense. Minister Ngahula, there was a sanction. I think they docked her salary. ANC had to pay for the flight. So that matter was dealt with, and it was, so even that podcast, I don't know why you asked, because I think it comes from that podcast, but a follow-up was done. But in terms of assistance, I don't make decisions about it. Even apartheid soldiers who want now, who are in this truth and reconciliation, it's not the decision of the department. They were soldiers at that time when they committed those apartheid crimes, came back to us to say, we did that as soldiers. We need your protection, but it's not my decision. It's a decision of justice to say who qualifies for legal assistance. And they have sent a report, and I just think it's between her and the department. I don't want really to be making statements about what justice said, but that request had been made and was referred to the correct authorities. And I have a good escape that it's Asin.
Hi, Zeus.
No, thanks, Minister. I think firstly, just to make it clear, is that we acknowledged, even in the meeting, that we do have an immigration problem, illegal immigration problem, with the movement of people coming into our country. And we know the challenges that it brings. It brings illicit goods, it brings with it the trafficking of people and all manner of things. And what we should be saying is that we therefore don't need to divide the country as if there are those who stand for illegal immigration and there are those who are for illegal immigration. We all as a country stand united against illegal immigration. And as such, we believe, particularly on the question of building up to the month end, that it should not be that because there is this problem, then we must throw the country into chaos. We say we are fighting for the country, sovereignty of the country, but then we want to ban fires within the country and take it down. That's not a way to deal with the issue. We must all work together to make sure that we deal with the problems that are in front of us around issues of illegal immigration. And when it comes to the issue of our neighbors and the relationships that we'll have, is that yes, engagements need to continue through DECO, because even internationally, if you look at organizations like the International Organization for Migrations, there is consensus that migration must not be forced to people. It must be voluntary. A person must not leave their country because they say, I am hungry, I need to get a job elsewhere. People must not leave their country because they are being persecuted. And if the countries which are sending illegal immigrants and migrants are not dealing with the issues in their own countries, that results to people moving away in this country, they should be hiding themselves, in shame that we have not been able to deal with the issues. Now people are leaving our country as against promoting them moving to other countries. I will be worried if we will have South Africans in other countries saying we are running away because we are being persecuted. I will actually be shameful. So I think that those who are sending countries, they need to consider that, and they need to deal with those negative issues that are existing in those countries, forcing people to come. Now, there are three ways which we have to display that the problem is not that the government has not been dealing with the problem and the problem was left. And we indicated that in 1994, we were not very much, experienced in how world operates and how international migration operates. We had sanctions and all manner of things, but we have learned. Now, since we have learned, what is it that we are doing? There are three ways in which to deal with the problem. The first one is to tighten border control. Because if you do not have tight border control, it means no matter how many deportations you will be effecting, people will still come back into the country. And that is why we started with the issue of the Border Management Authority. Fairly young, but doing exceptionally well. If you look at the number of interceptions that they've been doing, more than 200% increase there, which is very good. They're deploying drones, because right now it's no longer just about the physical fence that we want to see a wall that will deter people from coming into the country. It's about deploying technology, and that is why we then bought the drones. Well, unfortunately, I will have to say it. There has not been large amounts of money that have been thrown to the BMA for it to be a world-class border management authority. It's struggling with the resources, but the legal that we have, it shows that there is improvement, and we understand that government is now investing in the border management authority. In terms of the border infrastructure as well, we have just recently announced the one-stop border post. More than 12 billion will be invested there, because all the trucks that carry illicit cigarettes, they don't fly through a river. They actually go through the border post. So if you sanitize the border post environment and make it formal and have controls, those trucks will not be able to come in with illicit cigarettes. So that's very important. The second one is around inspections that we are carrying in within the country to make sure that those who are illegal actually are deported. We have previously been blamed that we are spending too much money on deportations because we have been increasing them. The other part is around the change of the legal framework with the white paper. When you talk about engagements didn't start today. And I did indicate to most of the colleagues who were here from various organizations that I have met most of them when we were doing consultations on the white paper, which changes the legal framework. So we've been engaging with them over long periods of time. And we're very happy that that work is really proceeding. I think the white paper will deal with some of the questions around what are we going to do with regard to balancing the Constitution as well as our laws. The white paper deal with those issues, the issue of first safe country principle to stop the abuse of the asylum seeker and refugee management. Now, we have had 275 referrals to the NPA, Samgel, just coming from the report of the SIU. Now, this is what is very important about this thing. When you hear no one talking about corruption, you must know that it's continuing behind the scenes. But when you see us coming to you, not just with rumors, but with reports that say we have been able to pick up this number of people, it means we're dealing with the problem. And that is why now we have those 275 referrals being made to the NPA. That is why you see us arresting people in that particular aspect. Now, the issue of the work that we are going to be doing is to heighten inspections in a collaborated manner with the SAPS, with the Department of Labor, as well as Home Affairs, to make sure that with the legal resources that we have, we make a huge impact on the ground through coordinated action. So that's what we are going to be doing. The last part is just to indicate that we are improving our systems in terms of building digital platforms. We are going to be capturing biometrics of people who move into the country, not only citizens, so that we have a 360-degree view of everyone who is within the borders of the Republic. And I really implore that South Africans, we must work together to deal with the problem and not segregate ourselves apart. On the 30th, if there is anything that goes wrong, it will be a person who does that. It won't be a miracle that something will fall from the sky and burn a tuck shop. Someone will be responsible, they will go and light it up. So organizers of these events, they must make sure that they are not infiltrated by criminality within themselves that portrays these genuine concerns as if now they've turned into criminality. If you want to march, yes, it's your right to march, but do so peacefully without hurting anyone. And that is who we are as South Africans. We raise our concerns, we work together to solve them, and then that's it. Thank you.